In a town 58,000 strong, there moved a foreigner. He was a Jewish man from the ocean. Yet, he traveled to a land with no water to find a new life. He arrived upon plains so big, you could only call it the middle of nowhere. Now, live from a land so vast, this is his cast.
Oh, the humanity.
Cowboys, cowgirls, studs, mares, and farmers of all ages. This is the Middle of Nowhere cast with your host.
I know. Well, welcome to the Middle of Nowhere cast.
I love this. Can I take some?
Yeah, please drink. I've got coffee. I think that works. I don't do no fancy intros or nothing. So I mean, we're podcasting right now. When's the last time you did a podcast?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was special.
For the chamber. You are
Yeah.
special,
Wow.
I was
Okay.
in the studio with the headphones, and this is better.
This is more casual because that's not how real people talk. I feel
Correct.
like real people talk here, and we have
Hanging out in the backyard.
a lot to talk about. So what is it
Okay.
exactly that you do as a state? First off, Representative Campbell, state representative of District 56 here in Wyoming. Yes. What is it exactly that a state representative does?
Oh, okay. So, I didn't really know. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we have this idea of, here's a great example. So a couple of weeks ago, I'm at a function and somebody says, so how do you feel now that you're done with that job? What do you mean done? I'm not in Cheyenne, but it's a full-time job.
Yeah, I'm sure you're.
So people think, right, we're in Cheyenne for a few days and then we don't have to do it. I mean, it's every day. It's another full-time job. So my job as a state representative is to be the voice of the 9,000 people
who live in this
that
district.
live in House District 56.
Okay. Yes.
So that is my job. So at the state level, we are the ones that are responsible for creating new laws, changing laws, and appropriating money. So money comes in and we figure out where it's going to go. But I thought for me, the biggest thing is we have issues, we have problems, we have challenges. How do we fix those? How do we make them better? And for me, that's what a state rep does, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing I'm running into. Because this isn't a law, or this is a law, or this is an old law. And then how do we fix it and make it better?
What's going on in 56 right now that we need to get better?
Not a lot.
Oh, okay. So
It's
you're
much
doing
more
a pretty good job, pretty much.
statewide. Much more of a statewide thing, right? What are some things? I mean, healthcare is an issue, right?
Yeah.
We have a serious desert, lack of healthcare, lack of docs leaving. That's a problem across the state.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Right on. You represent the district that I work in. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that is cool.
Yes, in the
I
Trona
love my
County High
district.
School.
I love my district.
What is it like representing a public high school? That probably adds some responsibility.
Kind of. I mean, the good news is the school districts are kind of their own entity.
Oh, so you don't deal too much with those. Are you a Philly? Are you
Just
a Mustangs and Phillies fan?
Well,
Are you Team Kelly Walsh?
I graduated from Kelly.
Oh God! How on earth did you do this?
Graduated from Kelly, but a lot of friends. I mean, went to NC. Our chief of police went to NC, and
He
I've
did?
been friends with him since high school.
Oh wow! Okay,
well.
you guys went to high school together? Oh,
same
cool.
time.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I spoke with
So
him like 2 weeks ago.
At the time, right, Kelly and NC, nobody cared. There wasn't this big rivalry of,
okay.
It was like we were all friends and all did things together. I mean, it got a little serious, on the football field, but. Yeah.
Okay, fill me in, because I'd love to learn the history of Casper, because I'm not originally from here. So
We're not really.
When did that change? When did we become rivals?
I think we always, in sports, we always have been. Oil Bowl and,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
nobody cares.
I
'Cause
noticed.
people end up, junior high. And then you might go all through elementary school and junior high together. And then, one goes to NC and one goes, well, you're still friends. You just go to different high schools.
That's how it is with the kids on my track team, at least. I know when we have cross country meets and K-Dub is there, it's all friends with everybody. Yeah.
And it
Okay.
was actually my senior year. I think it was my senior year. They'd shut down Kelly Walsh, asbestos things. Shut down Kelly Walsh and we're doing some asbestos abatement. So all of us used NC.
Oh,
So
wow.
we were split shift. So some like the NC kids would be there from 7 in the morning to noon, and then we were there from noon to 6 or whatever.
geez.
It was crazy. So Senator Rothfuss and I mean, we're both at NC at that time because he was a senior at NC and I was a senior at Kelly Walsh.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow. Okay, so it goes back.
it goes back.
What do you think so
We're all
great about
friends.
living here in Casper? Why do you like it so
I
much?
love it. I love the space.
Thank you. Representative Campbell was very nice to let me have my dog here, by the way, chat. And he is
love
already
in the
causing
backyard.
problems.
Is love in the backyard. No, I
Bubbles,
love
what
it.
the heck, man?
I love the community. I love the people. I love our space. It's the having both, right? I mean, 20 minutes, I'm up on the mountain.
Yep.
45 minutes, I'm out at the lake. And I mean, having access to. So our former governor, Mike Sullivan, I serve on a couple of boards with him, but I just ran into Mike at Albertsons.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's how Wyoming is,
Yeah.
right? We know each other, and we have access to each other. And
Well,
I just love it.
It has been lovely for me here because that makes local politics so accessible. And you think I don't think I talked to the mayor of LA back when I lived there.
Ever.
No, I don't think she makes the time.
I actually lived in California for 10 years, and I couldn't tell you who my representative was.
Oh, yeah, see?
Well, I have no idea. Never met him. I have no idea.
And I didn't feel the impact of anything that local government did there because it's so big. There's so many people. And I guess on one hand,
Here
maybe
you do. Here you do.
I'm lucky enough that I didn't because I think they have so many impoverished people and so many problems to deal with.
Yeah.
Over there, it's like, okay, if I'm not on your radar, maybe I'm doing okay for myself.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll give them credit in there, but I don't know. I don't feel as
Much better
connected.
here. It's much better here.
Yes. If Bubbles is a problem again, please
No.
please tell
He's
me.
exploring flower beds. I
All
love
right.
it.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Okay. So 718, what's it called? Divine Avenue?
Divine Avenue.
Yes. How does it feel to have such personal information on government websites? Because when you told me what address to come and meet you at, it was what was on yo.gov.
Right.
Your cell phone number's up there too.
Yep.
How does it feel? You're just on blast for everybody.
I am.
Does that worry you a little bit ever?
Not really. It was actually funny when Elissa was setting up all of our information, and they said, "What number do you want to use?" And I gave him my number, and he said, "That's your cell phone number."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah."
Well, and
It's the one number I have. So it's my business phone. It's my personal phone. It's my get a hold of your representative phone.
wow.
I
And
have to
it's
keep track of one phone.
and so how often do you get a call from somebody saying, "Hey, representative,
Not
I need
a
you."
lot. Less now because we're not in session. But yeah, I would get phone calls, texts, emails.
Wow. I feel like that would be so nerve-wracking for me if I just had all my stuff out there.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
They
Okay.
can find me.
I like it.
And most people know me. What's interesting to me, and it's sad, but it's cool. The number of people, not only from my district, but outside my district. I represent 56 in Casper and in Trona County and Wyoming. I figure I represent all of the people. So anyway, people outside my district will call, and the number of people that are surprised, I called them back because that's not common.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like, my representative doesn't call me, doesn't answer emails, doesn't. I'm like, why is that okay?
Yeah, why is that? I mean,
Yeah.
that's literally that's the
You should get a call back, always.
that's the Republic title
Always.
in the
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
Yeah,
It should be.
yeah. I can't represent people if I don't know what they think. So, yeah.
What's your vision for Wyoming? What do you see? What do you want?
Ooh.
This is like I'm giving you like your governor pitch for when you run.
I would not want his job. It's one of those. Okay, so I said I lived in California for about 10 years, right?
Where'd you live in California?
Redlands, just north of Riverside,
Oh, okay.
right between LA and Palm Springs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Pretty hot there.
Oh man,
I don't know how you did that.
miserable. It was awful.
I do business with some people from San Bernardino, and I can't go down there in the summer. I visit them in the winter.
It is gross. And that was part of why moving back, because So at that time, my kids were 5 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
So oldest was getting ready to start school, and I was like, one, I don't want you going to school out here.
Uh-huh.
Not a fan. And couldn't be outside.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be outside in the summer because the air will kill me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. I have a tiny
Shouldn't
human.
be.
And my family was all here. So moved back here. So vision for Wyoming is that tricky balance, right? Between holding on to the things that make us us, right? Our values, our traditions, our way of life. This is who we are, right? And how we do things. Holding on to that and continue to grow. And people, folks in Wyoming, I can say this because I'm a native, so I can knock us.
Okay, right on.
We equate growth with population. And like, we don't want to be California, we don't want to be Colorado. I get that, I don't either. You know, I don't want 4 million people living in my space. That's why I live here.
True, yeah.
Because I don't want 4 million people in my space.
But I don't think that's gonna
But
happen.
you can grow,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
You know, advance in thought and technology and opportunity and business, and you can grow and not bring in a lot of people. I think our winners will take care of that. So I think for me, it's that
That's true.
that having a space
Yeah.
that holds on to who we are and is open to new opportunity and development and growth. And it's been a problem since I was in high school, which was, we won't do the math.
Okay.
Way back before they had a new Kelly Walsh. The common, I mean, you graduate high school, you leave.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you come back. I mean, Captain, Chief Cheney, we came back. Right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
we're gone for a while. So how do we create opportunities and jobs? For people to either stay here. I mean, my son lives and works in Boston.
Oh wow.
Right now.
Okay, that's cool. I went to BU.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
on.
very cool.
Sick. What does he do over there?
So when he graduated out of UW, so College of
okay.
Engineering, immediately recruited for a software company. He does all things coding and programming and
Oh wow. Okay, that's
things
cool.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? Apparently, yeah. You can be fluent in 11 languages.
Huh,
In
coding
computers.
languages.
I know.
Is he worried that AI is going to take over his jobs? I'm all over
I
the
don't
place
think
right
so.
now. Oh,
I
okay,
don't
cool.
think so.
Okay, cool.
But
Yes.
why does he live in Boston? Because that's where the work is. It's not here.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
think about when he was getting ready to graduate until December to May, whatever, starts applying for jobs. Probably about 2,000 jobs because Indeed makes it easy, right? LinkedIn. Anyway, probably a lot of jobs, and 3 of them were in Wyoming. So that concerns me, right?
Yeah.
So how do we bring in new business and new opportunity and create space for people to have really good jobs here? So they can either stay here or leave and come back.
What would you say to the people that are like, this is just an oil state. We don't want nothing that's not oil. Keep your technology out. Keep your new green energy out.
We will slowly die. This is a slow and painful death.
That's what it seems like. But how do you convince people
If we
that
don't
it's been
diversify, right?
that I agree with you. But I've met a lot of people that don't see it that way. How do you change minds as a politician?
It's I think part of it is that story, right? What is it that you love about Wyoming, and do you want to see that 20, 30 years from now? Because like Salt Creek, or pick, we have Atlantic City. Pick so many of our small towns that were these booming, during the gold rush days and during the early oil and gas days. Huge populations that now are just ghosted. There's nothing there, right? And I think if we maintain, we are oil and gas, we are coal, that's all we are, that's all we do, that's how the entire state will end up.
Yeah.
We're already a good 20 years behind the rest of the
My
United States, right?
My parents say that when they come and visit. They say, it still feels like the 70s here.
Right.
Say,
Which is good. And
and
create some challenges because we're not providing those opportunities to grow and giving families a reason to move here. Yeah,
I feel like
we got to do both.
you
we got to
can,
do both.
if it was me, I would try and make the point that oil and gas are code words for being an energy powerhouse.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why we still can't be an energy powerhouse.
Need to be.
With nuclear options, we got
love that.
tons of land for wind. We got the wind.
We do.
You know, so like why
Sun?
that
Like
yeah,
300
so,
days out of the year?
we got the solar. Like this is an energy powerhouse. We've been
is.
using the stuff under the ground. There's no reason why we can't use the stuff
It
above the
is.
ground.
And that's one of the things I really do appreciate about, I mean, the governor's, all of the above. It's how do we diversify, right? So we have some stability, because when you are so single point of failure, right?
Yep.
Here's where everything is focused, and when that goes, we're toast.
Yup.
Just the bus, of the 80s and the 2000s, and everybody talks about the boom and bust and how awful it is. Well, how do you balance that out?
Then you can't. Yeah, if you can't, if you don't want
diversify,
that, exactly.
right? And you have other options that sustain that and keep some of that volatility down.
But then, so what do you do? Because I feel like I don't know what your opinions are, but I feel like our federal representation is very pro keep oil and gas alive. Let's not change. Let's not boom nor bust. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's a little frustrating to me because it feels like they're holding on to the old way of life.
Yes.
They're just. Let me put it this
Well,
way.
We had though. What was it? Just a couple weeks ago, month ago. I lose track of. It was March yesterday.
Yeah.
And next week is Christmas. So, the executive order, leaning into all things nuclear. That's expansion, right? In terms of our energy.
Yeah.
And positioning the United States, and I would say positioning Wyoming to be the leader in, and be that powerhouse. I mean, nuclear energy has been around, 40s, 50s, but so much of it has been developed outside the U.S. We are so far behind. So yeah, that's
Japan already has
bringing
those
that back
Gen
here.
4 plants, don't they?
Yes, and there, I mean, a lot of there, 30 some states just in the U.S. Yeah, and we're not. So, I think this administration leans into how do we advance nuclear for, just as a very reliable, stable, efficient energy resource, and continue to produce, oil and gas and coal. I think they're kind of leaning into both.
Okay.
Where the last administration, maybe not so much.
Well, you said you didn't like the education system when you lived in California. Why not? Why do you like it better here? And where are you at with the education here currently, and where some people in your caucus are trying to take it? Not your caucus, sorry, your
The Republican Party?
Yes.
Yes, we are rather divided right now.
Yes, it seems like it.
Yes, we are. So why did I not want them to go to school out there? So part of it for me, being born and raised here, going to school here, I didn't want them to get lost in the system, right? And in California, the schools are so big and the classes are so big. I have friends born and raised in LA, and just hearing, from them, it's just, you can get lost, right? So here, when we moved back here, both my kids went to Woods Learning Center, which is kindergarten through 8th grade. Maybe 120 kids.
Wow, yeah, you can't get lost
Maybe
in
150 kids, right? And there was, really cool programs with, the 6th, 7th, 8th graders would be buddies and mentors for the, 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And, a lot of collaborative working together, which I love, right? And so you don't get maybe some of those opportunities out there. What I really like about our public education system, see, so much happier than sitting in the car.
Yeah, I guess
I
he
can run
is.
and be happy.
Hi, baby.
So much of, our Wyoming. Okay, so here's what I love about Wyoming. First, hi. Wyoming is, yes, we're friends, aren't we? Wyoming is, I think, one of the few, I don't know how many other states do, in Wyoming, our Wyoming Constitution, public education is it's a right.
Yes.
We have the right to public education. Mm-hmm. What other state does that, right?
That's pretty cool.
Constitutionally, you have a right to public education, and it is the state's responsibility to ensure it is, equal and uniform and cohesive and all of those things. So that's pretty awesome. Most other states, don't do that. So the state is truly focused on how do we ensure, we provide quality public education for every Wyoming resident. I love that about Wyoming.
Where do you fall on in line with the current Freedom Caucus in the Senate and what they're trying to do to education? For those unaware, even though I say it every podcast, it's stuff like, keeping religions in the schools, I feel, not teaching about controversial topics that I was told were matters of morality. I don't agree with that.
Right.
But that kind of traditional, kind of evangelical feel.
I think part of the responsibility of our public education system is how do we best prepare our residents to be equipped, have the skills, the tools, the resources, the ability to be happy, productive, adults that actually contribute to. And part of that is preparing them for, right, the real world.
Yes.
Because we are a part of it.
Yep.
So one of the coolest things, and I'm not going to get this exactly right, so if my son watches this, I'll apologize later.
Okay.
So when he left, born and raised in Wyoming, when he's recruited, the first place he relocates is Lincoln, Nebraska, which is very much like Casper. Right?
Yes.
After a couple of years, he moves to Jackson, Mississippi. Very different, right? Very different space. And after living there, for a couple months, I said, so how you like in Mississippi? And he said, so racism is a thing.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I said, yeah, it is.
And people don't realize that about Wyoming.
And when you grow up in Wyoming, you may never experience that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it doesn't exist in the world.
Partially because there's only white people here. To be fair,
we don't have a lot of diversity.
We
don't. Not a lot of diversity. But that's that, So we can educate kids in Wyoming. Odds are pretty good at some point they're going to leave the state.
Yeah.
And if they're not adequately prepared for things like racism, we have done them a disservice.
Yeah,
right?
and they want to stop talking about that, which is a little frustrating.
How do we talk about the real and the things and the history and what does that look like and what is my role in that and how do I? Because odds are pretty good. We're going to be, out in the world at some point.
What about LGBTQ rights? And talking about that stuff, is that a green light? Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, sick. That's awesome.
Bring it.
That's why I'm happy.
Here's what I will tell you.
Okay.
And this is where I've gotten a little heat on social media.
Okay.
I think the first 2 weeks I was in office, one, I was immediately branded Barbie Bubbles, which I love that.
Barbie Bubbles? What the hell? Where'd they even get that
apparently from? I don't know, I eat soap and have nothing but air in my head.
Oh. Yeah.
All right.
That's what I actually have that written down right here. It says eat soap.
And really has nothing in her head. And then was, dubbed Rhino of the Week or of the Month or whatever. Because apparently I'm not Republican enough. I've been a Republican my whole life.
Oh.
And the reason for that is I would get a lot of pushback about, voting. You want some of my coffee?
No,
One, there were a few bills that came out of this session that I voted against because they're unconstitutional. And that's the oath we took.
Yeah,
right?
I respect
to defend
that.
and uphold the Wyoming Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. So I was like, nope.
That's what's up. Yep. Can't do it. Sorry.
If you want to change the Constitution, we'll have this conversation. So that was part of it. But then with the rhino thing, I would have, people just skewer
What did you
me.
say that people got mad at?
Pick a thing. My opposition to what a woman is. Apparently, I don't know what a woman is. And I was like, oh, no.
What do you think a woman is?
That's not the problem.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not where I have a problem with this. So like with what a woman is, and you know the Wyoming Republican platform mandates blah blah blah. And I didn't support it all the time. No, I didn't. The Republican platform, especially for our state, changes, you know, over the years, and I get that. That some of the core principles that I, you know, subscribe to. I am a people are people. Mm-hmm. People are people.
Yeah. What are you talking about specifically?
None of the rest matters to me, right? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. I mean, people are people.
I've noticed
human, you know.
That's one of
decency and respect, and we're all people.
One of the biggest contradictions I've observed from living here is that Wyoming seems to have such a good brand of libertarian conservatism where everybody believes in their own right to self-determination.
Yeah, do your thing.
That goes out the window when somebody disagrees with somebody else. And I don't know if it's always been that way, but why is that? They say that I want to live here and live my life, government stay out, and then it's like, don't tell my kids about gay people in schools. It's like, that's not what you just said. That's what I don't get.
So part of the problem, and I tell people, I mean, my district is pretty moderate, right? We're I guess what Republicans have looked like for at least my 35 years.
How do you...
So that's the challenge I have, right?
Yeah.
How do I reconcile that? Because for me, get the government out. The government has no place, right?
Sure.
So there are things constitutionally that our state government is required to provide some of those services, right? Absolutely, do that. The rest of it, get out of the way. That's not for you to be in. So several of the bills that came through, in my opinion, very much were a blatant, this is the state overreach, right?
Yeah.
We are taking control away from, we're taking authority away from school districts, from counties, from cities, from individuals. So many of those bills for me, whether it was repealing gun-free zones or the however many, you know, abortion bills, all were examples of centralizing control and authority.
Yeah, that's not why.
So cities, you don't get to make that decision anymore. Only the legislature does. School districts, you don't get to make that decision anymore.
Yeah.
Only school districts do. Women, in terms of health care and their decision making, guaranteed by the Wyoming Constitution.
I'll ask you about abortion.
We're not going to let you make that decision. We're going to tell you.
What
that looks like.
That's not what's up.
That is not.
That's some California stuff
right there. What Republican platform looks like. It's how do we, you know, grow government into every aspect of our lives, and give them control. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's no good. Okay, cool. Now I get to ask you all my hard-hitting questions in the second half.
I love it.
Let's go rapid fire. Where are you on abortion? Pro-life or pro-choice?
It's not the government's to decide.
Oh, wow. That's such a good dodge. I actually don't know how to come back to that one. I'm not going to let you get away with dodging the question.
Here's why, right? Personally, right, I have my own opinions about things.
Yes.
And there is no way all of the opinions I have should become state law. No way. For example, right, I've been a vegetarian since I was 18.
Okay. In Wyoming, huh?
Well, yeah,
right on.
It's been easier the last 5 years. So if I were to say morally, I have an issue with that. I'm going to shut down every business.
True. No, you couldn't do that. That's other people.
That's not my choice.
So, but
right?
then
that's your choice. That's your choice to make for you.
Okay, may I interject for a second?
Yes.
You've said the word choice a lot. After I asked you about the abortion, you would not choose it for you.
Choose it for me.
That's very fair. But you said the word choose. So would it be fair to say you are pro giving people the choice to make their own decisions.
I am pro, yes, protecting the individual rights.
I think that
as
is
guaranteed by the Wyoming Constitution.
so fair, because the Wyoming Constitution does protect the right to health care.
It says every individual has the right to make that choice for themselves.
It does. And I honestly am shocked.
So if you wanna put out a,
I'm not gonna, you said how you feel, yeah.
Have everyone in Wyoming vote to change that, do that. Then
Sure.
you can have that conversation. Until that time, the Constitution says every individual has the right to make that decision for themselves.
I think that's so fair. I think that's so fair.
And here's why I don't think I or the government should make that call. The federal government did the same thing, right? With the reversal of Roe v. Wade. What the federal government said is this is not an issue for the federal government to decide, to have the authority about it. It's not within the U.S. Constitution. It's not something we should deal with. We're going to kick it back to the states. You should decide, right? What's right for you, which I think was a good first step. So, and Wyoming did the same thing. I don't even remember when our Constitution, 2019, 2017, when that was amended. Wyoming did the same thing. That's not something for the state to decide.
It's for
individuals. You decide, right? That's not for me.
Yeah.
I worked in 2 of our high schools many, many years ago. And I actually had a student, 14-year-old, who came to me, trusted teacher, was pregnant, older cousin.
Tough.
What do I do?
What do you do?
And my first thought was, oh, kiddo. One, I'm so grateful that is not a situation I will ever be in.
Yeah.
I have to make that call, right? So grateful I don't have to make that decision. Well, it's going to make a lot of noise. And how do I help you navigate this, right? You and your family to make the decision that is best for you. That's not for me to make. That's not for me to make.
I like that. Can I ask you about something else that may or may not be your decision to make?
Sure.
And this is a larger segue.
Okay.
Where are you at on marijuana reform and legalizing that pesky little plant everybody seems to hate so much around here?
That's funny. Okay, so this one I'm really, not dodging the question, but it depends, right, on what that looks like.
I'm not dodging the question, but it depends.
It depends on what that looks like.
Okay.
Right? Statistically, in terms of data, I know alcohol is legal.
Yeah.
The damage it does.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Not only to human bodies, but the number of DUIs and fatalities and all of the other, impacts in terms of alcohol and mental behavioral health.
Can we throw tobacco in there too? Would that be fair?
Absolutely we can, right?
In terms of like the apparent damage that it does to the lungs, yeah?
We know, right? This is all the bad stuff it does. This is the bad stuff. This is why we banned smoking in public, right?
Yep.
Even just being around it does harm to me. We know this. So yeah, tobacco, alcohol, absolutely legal. Okay. So if you compare statistics, damage to the body, damage to others, public safety, you're never going to hit the numbers with marijuana. Never going to hit the numbers, right? So that doesn't make sense to me. Why do we regulate this and not this? I mean, part of that is a federal issue, right?
Sure.
And not necessarily just the states. So there's that side of it. And the consistency doesn't make sense to me. The other side of it is looking at how it's been done in other states. I don't think it was done well. So look at Colorado. The intent and then what actually happened.
What do you mean by that?
So I think the intent was, by legalizing and regulating and then, this additional source of revenue that we will be pumping into the schools, we will be, injecting in, doing all of this good work with.
Yeah.
Then I talked to teachers, and they're like, we haven't seen any of that.
Oh, yeah.
So the intent, but then did that actually happen? I don't think so. And then some of the unintended consequences, right? And I think our legislature right now, the 68th, tends to be a bit short-sighted. And makes decisions without thinking about what are the unintended direct and impact consequences of that decision.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is awesome, we're gonna do it, we push it through, and then go, oh no, what have we done? Right? And I think that's what we're seeing in Colorado. For an example, kind of off, but kind of the same. So in talking about property taxes, one of the things that came up was just completely blanket statement saying veterans in Wyoming exempt from property taxes. My first thought was, you know how many folks we're gonna have moving to Wyoming?
Oh yeah, true.
Because now they don't have to pay property taxes. We are gonna get inundated with a flood of people coming to Wyoming because they don't have to pay property taxes. Have we thought about that and what that looks like? So I think about, right, you see some of that in Colorado and I mean Vermont and California, other states that have legalized. We legalize this, so you see this influx of people and may not have the infrastructure, may not have the resources.
Sure.
You know, so you see a significant, much increased homeless population in Colorado that wasn't there 10 years ago.
Maybe if
So
kinks
how do
need
we
to be
do it right?
That's the question. Well, that is
How do we do it right?
I guess that's for you to figure out, isn't it?
And that's one of the things that cracks me up when they would do the questionnaires and how many people in Wyoming want to legalize marijuana. My follow-up would be, how many people want Wyoming to turn into Colorado?
Oh, okay.
Because that's the flip side, right? It's like, how do we not create the challenges that they're seeing in Colorado? How do we do it better? How do we do it right?
At the very least, what about just decriminalizing it?
Yeah.
Because the punishment does not fit the crime at all.
Typically does not. Nope.
And
when you put, marijuana in the same category as meth and,
yeah, that's absurd.
It's just a whole different ballgame.
Have you ever been to like a 420 rally? Because it's not the same as a meth rally.
No, I have not.
Oh.
No, I have not.
Publicly, she has not. Very publicly.
I'm just very grateful. Yes. When I was in high school and college, the internet did not exist. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
So this is segueing us into a segment I like to call Schoolhouse Rock. You're familiar? Mm-hmm. You know the song I'm Just a Bill.
I'm Just a Bill.
Uh-huh.
Living on Capitol Hill. Yep.
Well, Representative Campbell, hi. I'm a citizen.
Yes.
And I'm coming to you because I want a law to be made.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what I want. I want marijuana to be decriminalized.
Okay.
And may I say some more about that?
Yes, you can.
I have had personal experience with the criminalization of marijuana in the state.
Okay.
I was down in Laramie watching a UW basketball game.
Yes.
Go Cowboys.
Yes.
Did not get to watch the game because I was in the back of a cop car shortly after it started. I was arrested for smoking a joint.
Okay.
Guilty as charged. Nothing to hide anymore. You can look it up. It's public record.
And it happens to be illegal in Wyoming.
It does. It's really illegal in Wyoming, and I learned that on February the 1st. So here's what happened to me afterwards, and I don't think it's fair.
Okay.
I was taken to jail.
Okay.
I was kept in jail. I bonded out. Mm-hmm. I was stuck in Laramie for 3 days because Judge Wynn decided he wanted to take the day off after I was in jail, and the term of my bond was I couldn't leave Laramie.
Right.
So pretty much I was prisoner in Laramie for 3 days, 3 nights, 4 days.
Which isn't a bad place to be.
Unless
you can't leave.
When you can't come back to Casper for work.
Yeah.
It's
challenging.
It was challenging. So that happened. I could afford a public defender. I could afford an attorney. I'm lucky, so I had to pay for that, but it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
I paid close to $3,000 in legal fees and court fees.
Okay.
I had to come back to Laramie to see the judge. That's gas coming from Casper.
Right.
I paid for hotels when I was there. I paid for all said and done. What I'm trying to say is, it was $5,000 out of my pocket for smoking a joint and not hurting anybody.
Right.
In addition, since I've been arrested, I've lost my Second Amendment right to own firearms.
Correct.
And I don't think that's fair at all.
Yeah.
Why? I'm not, I wasn't hurting anybody. I was sitting inside of a basketball arena watching basketball. I wasn't driving. I wasn't causing a disturbance to the public.
Right.
I was permitting an odor that somebody complained about to a cop, okay?
Right.
I want that to change. I don't
Yeah.
think that's right.
Yeah.
I think I mean, especially in
Yeah, yeah,
Wyoming, I can't own a gun now because I did that.
Right.
That's not, what can we do about that? You're my
Right.
representative. I'm
Okay.
coming to you.
So here's what we do.
Okay.
Here's what needs to happen. So, and here's the process. Anytime.
Yes.
Okay. So.
What I'm trying to say is punishment
Typically-
does not match the crime.
Correct.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. You first maybe do a little research, right? What does current statutes say? And how is it classified? And what lenience do the judges have, right? Because if the statute says, you know, up to this or up to this, judges can kind of whatever they think is. So figure out what the current statute says and then what would be more reasonable. I mean, talking to, and I would recommend
okay. I like this.
not just from a personal perspective, but law enforcement. Talk to them, right? Because I imagine it would make their lives easier.
Law
if
enforcement
they didn't have to.
Yeah.
So what would that look like? And you know, for judges, what does that look like? And so figuring out for individuals, and what makes more sense? Where is it? You know, it actually the crime and the punishment fit, right?
So
what does that look like?
Uh-huh.
And then you come to a representative and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking, and here's what needs to change, and here's why. And then as a representative, the best way to do it is to, well, you have to have a representative that kind of sponsors the idea, right? So we take the idea and submit it. The best time to do that is during interim, when we're in between things.
Oh, like right now?
Like right now.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't recommend it this year because this session is a budget session. So we're talking all things budget.
Oh, got it.
Right?
Almost like
And-
the tax revenue that legalization could bring or something. I don't know. I'll get ahead of myself.
So,
Okay.
so during a budget session, that's our focus. So in order to get any bills even introduced, we have to have 2/3 of the House and the Senate say, yeah, this is important enough. We want to talk about it during a budget session.
Okay.
Getting 2/3 is tough.
Right.
So probably better next session, general session. Right?
Got it.
'Cause
Okay.
then we can talk about anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you get it during interim. Then the representative says, hey, judiciary, one of our standing committees, one of the 12, judiciary,
This is so
This
cool.
is a
I like learning
topic-
about how this works.
this is a topic you guys need to take on, and here's why. And so then the Joint Judiciary Committee would then spend their interim time really diving into this issue, right? And getting feedback from the public. It's really during the interim that the public gets to be involved in this. I mean, really participate in what do these laws look like, and are they good? Are they not good? Are they going to do, you know, make things better, or are they going to do damage? This is when we hear from them, you know, because you come, you testify, you tell us what you think, and then we work the bill. And so at the end of the interim term, then the committee, judiciary is where it needs to go, would then draft a bill. Work with LSO to say, okay, so put together a draft. What does that legislation look like? And then when we get into session, we actually introduce that to the House or the Senate, whichever side it starts on the House. And then we kick it out to a committee. They work it, they interact with the public, get testimony. They kick it back to the House. We all talk about it, we all deliberate it, and then decide if we're on board and want to move it forward or not.
So how do you think that would go down right now in the House? Because I have an idea based off of what you said.
Some of it, I think it depends, right?
I know the change I would want to make in terms of the law and what it says.
Decriminalizing.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
I might not even start there. I could just start with an ask.
reducing, right?
My problem
Let's make this a misdemeanor.
was that
I mean,
it
come
was.
on.
It was a misdemeanor,
Okay.
but the problem was I got entered into the NCIS,
Right.
National Criminal Database. So
Right.
the feds know about it.
Right.
If I were to make a change, I would say if I'm going to be tried for a simple use in municipal court,
Right.
maybe let's keep it municipally and
Yeah,
let's not
just municipal
tell the
court,
whole government
like
about
running a
that.
stop sign.
So that, I guess that would be my change because
Yeah.
the federal government now sees me as a drug addict because Like that's because I smoked one time in Laramie.
Right.
So and I'm like, that's absurd. Like and when I filled out the form, I answered. It said, "Are you a current user, drug addict of marijuana or any other?" I said, "No, I'm not, because I'm not."
Right.
And then they came back and they said, "Denied. Yes, you are. Here's the proof." And I said, "That's not proof I'm a current user.
Right.
That's proof that I smoked one time in February."
That one day. Yeah. So I think, yes, there are.
So that's,
there probably are. Yeah. So how do we change that? How do we make it so it makes sense, right? And that's how you do it.
So that's how I would do it. So I need to find somebody in judiciary.
Well, just find a rep that'll run it.
Well.
And then talk to judiciary. So the good news is the chair of our House Judiciary Committee is Representative Art Washit in Natrona County.
Oh, hey, look at that.
There you go. You're welcome, Art.
Thanks, Art. I'll be in touch. I'm gonna try and get you on the podcast right after this. How about that?
So and Representative Washit. I'm so grateful because on the floor, I get to sit between Representative Harshman and Representative Washit, and both. I mean, so the knowledge, the experience. Art's Representative Washit's background is law enforcement. And just a wealth of knowledge in terms of the legal system and what needs fixed and what does that look like and how do we frame it. So he is my go-to for all things law enforcement and
that's awesome.
Judiciary.
So then can I ask you this? Now that
that's the process.
If I'm in the predicament that I'm in right now, is there anything to be done about it now without a law? Can I get a pardon? Can I get an exemption? Like, what trees do I have to bark up for that?
I don't know retroactively how you would do that. I don't know.
So I'm just screwed.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean, fair enough. Like, I broke the law. I did.
But that's how we figure out what's broken, right? Another example. So a friend of mine, Kathy Holman, you've probably seen all of her Facebook. Her family, horrible ordeal for a year and a half. Adult stalker of her high school age daughter.
Yes, yeah,
Okay? Huge thing. One of those things that you don't know is a problem until it happens. And so this goes on for a year and a half. It goes through the courts. It's a misdemeanor. And Kathy said, how is that okay? We had an adult human. I mean, harassing and tormenting and terrorizing a minor. And it's a misdemeanor?
That's true. It's as criminal as what I did.
So it is. It's more so. I would say, to
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's
like
like
misdemeanor. That's a misdemeanor. What?
That's also like a first-time domestic abuser would suffer a worse punishment than I currently am serving.
Right.
I feel like.
So it's unfortunately that's what happens, right? That it's not until we experience the wait, that's messed up.
And these things have to happen.
That then it comes to light, and it comes to then representatives, and we go, yeah, that's not okay. We need to fix that.
Okay.
Yeah. So which is what we're working on now is how do we make better the stalking laws in Wyoming because they are so outdated, so bad.
Well,
and there isn't anything in there to address between an adult and a minor. So how do we change that?
Yeah, that's a little
how do we
messed
make
up.
It better? So it's the same process.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that's the way it is. I mean, I have folks, reaching out. So here's the thing I ran into. That's not okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. How do we make that better?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for giving me the tools to succeed.
Yeah.
I love being a part of the civil process.
So now you know. This is how you make it better.
This is how I make it better. Okay. Cool.
I guarantee you're not the only one who's run into that problem.
Yeah, well, yeah. I hope I am, I guess, but I know I'm not.
I doubt it.
Yeah, it just seems a little extreme. And of course, I get it. I didn't move to Wyoming to try and change the way you guys live your life. I love the way you guys live your life.
Right.
But at the same time, part of the way you live your life is with guns, and I want a gun, and I can't have one now. So, I just
violation of my Second Amendment right.
I didn't want one in Los Angeles because you're not even allowed to have one there. So,
right.
but then also, I come from Los Angeles. I grew up in Philadelphia where it was illegal as a kid, but they didn't care.
Right.
And then I moved to Boston when it was legal. So this is the first place I've ever lived in where it was a problem.
Yeah.
And when the cop came over I just told him what was going on. I didn't know that it was a problem.
Right.
He's like, like, you know that's illegal, right? And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I think I did, but like, am I going to jail?
Right.
And he was like,
Yes, you
yeah,
are.
yes, you are going to jail. Oh.
Okay, so here's horrible. I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm going to. So I grew up in Wyoming, right? I go to school at UW, all things. So go out to visit friends in California, and we're out somewhere, I don't know, some event doing something. And I don't know if I had like a beer, like a bottle, or if I had a, no, cup, mixed drink. I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't remember. I had alcohol in the cup in my hand.
Okay.
And as we're leaving, I'm walking out, and
Where
we get
is
in the
this?
car. It had to have been somewhere close to LA.
Oh, okay, cool. You're leaving like a concert or a house or okay.
Something.
All right.
I mean, it was a restaurant, a venue, or something.
Oh, okay. No, fair enough.
So we're
Sure.
at an event and we're leaving, and I have my drink in my hand, and we go out and we get in the parking lot, and then we get in the car and I put my seatbelt on, and the guy driving says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean? What am I doing? Why do you have your drink?"
Oh.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Open container laws. You can't have that in the car.
Oh,
That's illegal. It is? Oh, huh. In Wyoming, it's not.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
we got
it's
alcohol
not-
drive-throughs here. Land of the
we used
free.
to, in
yeah.
Laramie. Yeah, we did have a drive-through.
Well, you can drive. You can still drive through the liquor. Wyoming liquor.
Mixed drinks through the window.
Oh, like you could go up and you could say, "I want a Cosmo."
Yeah.
And they would. Wow.
Yeah, well, that was way long time ago. Way long time.
That's why I love it
You
here.
can't do that anymore. So I mean, there are laws in Wyoming, right? You cannot drive with an open container. You can't drive while you're drinking. I get that.
Yes. Hey, Bubbles, stop
But
it.
the whole open container you cannot have outside the building. It's like, oh, that's new.
Different strokes for different folks.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, that was my fault because I was not aware of, but very similar. Oh,
Ignorance is no excuse.
You can't do that.
That's.
Hi. Yes, ignorance is never a defense.
So we have about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
I asked this question of everybody that I talk to.
Okay.
What is one tangible way that you have improved the lives of those who elected you?
One tangible way.
Hard, tangible. I voted for Representative Campbell, and my life is better because she.
Man, that is a tough question. So here's and I don't know. I'll try and answer this, and yeah, you don't get to be up here. So a story, because I actually had a lot of moments of that down in Laramie or down in Cheyenne. So we're down there in February, middle of winter, right? Mm-hmm. And there was one. Well, there are many days, but one in particular day, I was frustrated. I was angry. I actually left the floor because I just needed a minute. So I left, went outside, and I'm walking laps around the Capitol in February, just to cool off, right?
That'll cool you off.
And there's a gal out there who's part of the staff shoveling the sidewalks. And so I said, good morning and thank you. So appreciate what you're doing. And she's like, I'm shoveling walks. And I said, no, it makes a difference. And I said, I truly appreciate. I said, at least what you are doing right now makes a difference for others. Makes lives better. I said, I would rather be out here shoveling walks than sitting in there. And she said, why? And I said, because it doesn't seem to matter that I'm there, right? I can work to amend, I can vote against, and it just doesn't seem to matter.
Well, why do you do it? If it doesn't matter, why do you do it? Yeah.
That was my point. Why am I here? I can't change it. I can't make it better. I can't stop it. And that was my frustration. I'm like, I just help me out because I don't feel like I'm making it better for people, like you are, shoveling the walks. And that's when she turned and looked at me and she said, to the 9,000 people you represent, it matters.
Whoa, that's deep. That's some turtle on the beach matters for this one type of stuff.
And it was, even if it's getting up and saying, this is not okay, because we're taking away their right to decide. This is not okay because we're taking away, even getting up and saying, this is not okay. Matters. Right? So
well, shout yourself out then. What bill did you vote for that Or that you voted
Voted for?
against, or that? How did you? I'm still after.
So here's the one. Well, there were quite a few, that I voted for that I felt really, really good about. I actually carried one bill this year, House Bill 22, and it originated out of the town of Opal.
Okay.
Do you even know where Opal, Wyoming is?
I've never heard of it.
Most people don't. Little Opal, Wyoming. So had a problem.
Where is it?
So, hold on, I'll get there.
Okay.
So little itty because you only have 3 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
So,
we have 90 seconds till the camera runs out of. Oh God.
So little bitty town, right? And there was, emergency natural disaster, and their water and wastewater operators are not. They're not qualified as emergency personnel.
Oh, okay.
So an emergency happens, they can't be on site, which is dumb. You want people that know your water to protect your water.
Yes,
right?
agreed.
So that's the problem. So they come say, hey, we need to change this. Talk to all 99 municipalities. All 99 municipalities say, yeah, that's a problem. So that was the bill.
Okay, well there you go.
Water and wastewater personnel, emergency personnel.
Okay.
Passed all the way through the House, all the way through the Senate. Governor signs it into law. Yay!
I will take that as an answer. I will take
all of the municipalities.
There we go, Representative Campbell. Thank you for making disaster prevention better in the state of Wyoming.
For our water and wastewater guys.
There you
now
go.
Emergency personnel.
Okay, I like it. We'll end it there. Thank you for coming on the Middle of Nowhere podcast.
I love this.
I
It's
appreciate
not the middle
it.
of nowhere. It's the middle of my backyard.
What it is? It's the Middle of the Backyard podcast of Representative
I love
Campbell.
it.
Thank you very much.
You are so awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Yay.
Okay.
Sweet.
That was more than 90 seconds.